All right, today we're going to break down a word you're hearing everywhere inside the Catholic Church, synodality.
So let's just jump right in. This is a term that's popping up more and more. But what does it actually mean? What is synodality?
You know, it's become this huge buzzword in the church, and depending on who you ask, it's sparking all sorts of reactions, from real excitement and awe to, honestly, a fair bit of anxiety and fear. So let's try to understand why.
All right, first things first, we've got to acknowledge that there's a lot of confusion around this word. People hear synodality, and it's almost like a blank canvas where they project their own hopes or their biggest fears.
Probably the best way to get a handle on it is to think of it as part of a conceptual cloud. It's not this brand new word that just appeared out of nowhere. It's deeply tied to these ancient, really foundational ideas like ecclesia, the Greek word for the assembly, the church itself, or concilio, for council, and collegiality, this idea of the bishops working together.
But if you strip all that away, at its absolute root, the word is actually pretty simple. It comes from two Greek words, syn, which means together, and hodos, which means path or way. So literally, it just means walking together. That's it. A journey taken with others.
And this is so important to grasp. This idea of walking together isn't some new thing Pope Francis just came up with. Not at all. It actually has incredibly deep, ancient roots in the Church's history.
I mean, you can trace this all the way back to the very first council in Jerusalem, way back in the year 49. And it doesn't stop there. In the 3rd century, you had figures like St. Cyprian making a point to consult the laity. You see it in the big, famous councils like Nicaea. This way of doing things has been part of the Church's DNA for, well, centuries.
And check this out. The way they announced their decision from that very first council says it all. They didn't just say, hey, we've decided this. They said, it has seemed good to the Holy Spirit and to us. See that? It's not just a human decision. It's about discerning together what God is asking.
Okay, so fast forward to today. To really get what's happening with the current synodal process, Pope Francis says we first have to look at ourselves. He suggests that we usually approach this whole thing with one of 3 basic attitudes.
So there's the first one, awe, like the wide-eyed wonder and openness of a kid seeing something for the first time. Then there's the second attitude, fear. You know, that resistance to change, that retreat into, but we've always done it this way. And finally, there's enthusiasm. And that's the kind of energy that actually gets you excited to listen to other people, to really hear them.
And to help with that fear, there's this fantastic story about Cardinal Ratzinger, who would later become Pope Benedict. Someone asked him how he could possibly sleep at night with all the problems of the church on this plate, and his answer was just perfect. He said, I sleep wonderfully, because I know the church belongs to Jesus Christ and not to us. What a great reminder to just trust.
All right, so once we've got our attitude in check, the journey itself is framed by 3 key words. Think of them as the signposts for this path. First, there's the idea of a path. This is a huge reminder that the church isn't a building or a static institution. It's a people on the move. Second, it's about being together. And this is really broad. It means all the baptized are invited to walk, but also other Christians, even non-believers. It's an open invitation. And finally, where are we going? The destination is always towards Christ. He is the center, the reason for the whole journey.
Okay, so that's the path we're walking. But why? What's the point of it all? Well, the ultimate purpose gets boiled down to another set of 3 fundamental ideas.
The end game is, first, communion. This is about really encountering Christ and each other, especially in prayer. Then, there's participation. This means everyone has a voice and a role to play. It's about actively listening to each other to figure out what the Spirit is saying to the church. And all of this, the communion, the participation, it's all for the sake of the mission. It's to get us ready to go out into the world and share the gospel.
And here's a story that just perfectly captures why communion and mission can't be separated. Way back in 1910, at this big missionary conference, a delegate from the East stood up and said something that just stunned the room. He said, "You have brought us Christ, but you have also brought us your divisions. Please bring us Christ, but not your divisions." Wow. That heartbreaking plea really helped kickstart the whole modern movement for Christian unity, because it made it crystal clear you can't have a credible mission if you're divided.
So you have these different sets of 3, the attitudes, the path, the goal. And you might be thinking, how does this all fit together? Well, there's one single story from the Bible that pulls it all together perfectly, the road to Emmaus.
Just think about it for a second. You've got the disciples walking together on a path, talking, questioning. That's the journey. Then they experience this profound moment of communion when they recognize Jesus in the breaking of the bread. And what happens right after that? They don't just sit there, they jump up and go on a mission, running back to Jerusalem to share the good news. It's the whole synodal process in one beautiful story.
Okay, so this brings us to a really crucial point. Synodality is not supposed to be just a big meeting or a special event that happens once and then it's over. The idea is for it to become a permanent style for the church, a way of being, a way of operating, all the time.
And Pope Francis lays out how this style of listening should work in 3 stages that flow into each other. It all starts with the people of God. That means everyone, every single baptized person. From there, it moves to the pastors, the bishops, whose job is to listen to the people and discern what they're hearing. And finally, it all culminates with the Bishop of Rome, the Pope. His role is to listen to everyone, the people and the pastors, and act as the ultimate guarantor of the church's unity.
So, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that this isn't a passing fad. The message is pretty clear. Synodality is here to stay. It's not just about having a synod. The real goal is about becoming a synodal church, a church that is always walking, always listening, and always discerning its path forward, together.